5 years ago, our planet Mecopolis was locked in a long, terrible war. Blue City and Red Hall were on opposite sides, and we inflicted heavy damage on each other. There was no end in sight, until one day a strange man appeared outside my lab. I didn't know it then, but that man was your father, Jason. He couldn't speak. In fact, he was barely alive. I carried him into the lab and treated his injuries, but for a while all he could tell me was that his name was Professor K, and that he was from Earth. His body showed traces of radiation, so we think that the neutron laser used in the war had damaged the space nexus and created a temporary portal between our worlds. Professor K may have come through that portal by accident. Although it seems unlikely to me, as we were both working on similar and dangerous projects. In hopes of ending the war, I was trying to develop a sort of ultimate soldier by bringing inanimate objects to life.
Objects like cars?
So you're the one who invented mechcardimals?
No. I wish I could take credit, but my work was with humanoid and insectoid-type robots, and I couldn't solve the final algorithm that would have allowed the robots to have free will. Every experiment ended in failure. I was ready to give up when Professor K recovered and reevaluated my project. I soon learned that your father was a brilliant scientist who had been working on the same type of idea. He saw that the problem was combining reanimation with physical mobility. He began recalculating my work. What we needed was a host that could already move effortlessly by itself. Because Professor K had also been a race car driver, he suggested using cars as the reanimation host. It was insanely complicated, but your father made it look easy. And almost instantly, the problem was solved and mecardimals were born.
The power of the mecardimals was so great that both sides realized war was not the answer. So that terrible war came to an end and a peace treaty was signed.
Some peace. Blue City and Red Hall were arguing again from the get-go. You remember that portal that Dr. Franklin was telling us about? Mm-hmm. We needed the mecardimals on Mecopolis to rebuild the cities. But Professor K, your father, used that portal to send them away.
Professor K understood the mecardimals' power, and he thought someone might use us for evil. That's the reason he did what he did.
Beneath my lab, there was a secret elevator shaft that led down to a hidden vault. Your father and I sealed the mecardimals away in that vault, hoping that the thick walls and multiple levels of security would keep them safe from falling into the wrong hands.
Because he created us, I think your father felt responsible for protecting us.
Yeah, but how'd the mecardimals get out then?
For a time, they didn't. The mecardimals stayed safe deep below ground, while the two enemy factions on the surface argued and fought about how to use them. But in the end, it turned out the danger wasn't Red Hall or Blue City.
It seems, while we were busy fighting, a third faction had organized. They called themselves Black Reef, and they'd become really powerful.
Yeah, I know a little about Black Reef. That's where Van Dyne said he was from.
Right. And there's more of them where he came from.
Unfortunately, that's true. Spies from Black Reef had learned about the secret vault. I wanted to destroy it before they could capture the mecardimals and use them against us.
You're kidding me.
At the time, I thought the danger of the mecardimals being used by Black Reef was simply too great. Our planet would have been destroyed. But your father had come to think of the mecardimals as living creatures, and he refused to allow me to deactivate them. He locked me out of the lab and opened the vault. With the mecardimals freed, I believe the professor used my gigaprocessor to reopen the same space nexus portal that he had traveled through. And just before Black Reef could break down the door, he sent all of the mecardimals to Earth. Your father's plan worked brilliantly, and all the mecardimals arrived safely.